Hello everybody, welcome to G for G here on YouTube. Today we are going to deal with one of the videos that I talked about in this week's episode of the Monday Wake Up Call. And that is the elephant in the room that we may be facing fairly soon. The psychic meta and potentially the anti-psychic meta. So the reason why we're discussing the psychic meta is, of course, the current Spec Ops set, which is heavily psychotic. Oh, that was funny. Okay, so, of course, we do know that the current set deals very much with delirium and psychic effects. Some people herald the new set as the best set ever. Some people on the other side of the lake in a different camp, and that this is the camp that sneaks into your bunks at night and puts porcupines in your bed and frightens a skunk outside of your little cabin. They are the people who believe that is extremely not true. And both sides have some merit, but I'm honestly leaning towards the set is good, but it is not the end-all be-all of sets, and there are many other sets that vie for the top spot over this one. Why? Because this set is very easily countered with heroes and gear, whereas not a lot of the other sets are, and the fact that it is an absolute stamina hog. To run all 4 pieces and utilize them effectively, you basically have like a round and a half of action in PvE, and then you're out of stamina. If the drain meta takes off, thanks to the last suit, the psychic meta is going to get run out of town if you are using the new set. So, let us talk about psychic gear. There's psychic and psychic energy when it comes to gear. For straight out psychic, we have the Eldritch Relic, the Flaming Post, and the Traumatic Post. The Mental Manipulator, the Neuro Purge, the Psych Blaster, the Psych Punch, and the Psychic Sacrificer Staff. The only one of those listed that really means something with the current set is the Psychic Sacrificer Staff, and we'll deal with that. The Neuro Purge isn't really about psychic related things, other than it's just a psychic gadget, but it does more important stuff like shutting down a lot of the class bonuses. The Eldritch Relic is not available. The Flaming Post is not available, but the Traumatic Post is. In dealing with psychic energy attacks, you have the custom only for killing, the Encephalizer, the Mental and Experimental Blades, the Fault Eater, the Lunacy, the Phoenix Pinion, the Soul Drainer, and of course the new AoE blaster that came from this mission over here. The Psionic Rifle. So the normal version is basically a custom only for killing, but the challenge mode version is a 3-round AoE. So, let's take a look at the store and see some hidden gems in the store that both work and counter the psychic meta. And then we'll get into other gear and heroes. So, in scrolling by, right here we have the Traumatic Post. It is melee and psychic. Oh, yes. By the way, today's background soundtrack is brought to you by Lost Years, their album called Black Waves. So, the Traumatic Post is a psychic melee attack, and it causes mental anguish, just like Emma. One page over, or it was one page over before, but it moved. We have the Transcranial Stimulator and the Experiment. The Transcranial Stimulator is both anti and pro psychic meta. It is a psychic energy tech attack, but you also have Stimulated Mind. Counters attacks from any enemy attacking any ally with a psychic attack, and you get Psychic Warning. Takes less damage from psychic attacks and effects, removes 1 negative effect per round. The Experiment is the only thing in the game that can clean off the border debuffs of the Lunacy. Straining doesn't count, as that can be removed by normal means, but all of the other escalating items from the lunacy, the experiment was the only thing that fixed it. It also works in the drain meta, because when you use it and people attack your team, they get deep thoughts where your stamina goes down. By the way, little nugget over here. If you have the tactician suit that says debuff actions become a quick action once every other round, the ankle biter can become a quick action buff remover. Yes, the lantern and the mystic count for this. The ankle biter can be used to remove buffs from somebody as a quick action if you are running that suit. So, what other gear do we have that works with psychic-related setups and the new gear? First, I'm going to deal with the Savage Spear, and you're going to be like, dude, what? The Savage Spear? What the hell does that have to do with psychic meta and everything? Right here, Noxious Strike, Torpid. Psychic damage is reduced by 40%. This is a poison that reduces the damage done by psychic attacks, which could be highly important if the psychic meta takes off. The spear is a really, really good item because it buffs up your hit points, defense, attack, and accuracy by 10%. So if you are running a heavy defensive setup where you had high hit points and high defense, the Savage Spear only augments that. So that is something to consider. The other thing that we have as an anti-weapon would be the Techno-Organic Skeleton. This is pretty much the middle finger to the whole thought of a psychic meta. If you are lucky enough to have the TOE, which people used quite extensively thanks to the Emma meta that existed. If you have the TOE, you are definitely a leg up on the game over here, as this basically makes you laugh at anything psychic coming your way. Running this with the transcranial simulator may seem like it's overkill, but one can be used to protect and the other can be used to counter. So that would definitely combine quite well with that. Of course, we have the custom only for killing style migraine and mental anguish rifle over here. It has a whopping cooldown of 3 rounds, but that's not too bad because that means you can set it up so that it gets used in PvP and hopefully doesn't get spammed. Migraine is, of course, quite good. We have the Psychic Sacrificer Staff from Spec Ops long ago. It does weak mind on one enemy and it steals health, and it's doubled or more if the person has weak mind. So this is quite a good setup for the existing meta that we might see. We have the Psych Operator and Staff of Agony as part of the set. Some people are saying this is better than the Scroll of Rudamaroth. I'm going to say, no, you're wrong. It's simply different. Different meaning it is not better or worse than the Scroll of Rudamaroth. It's different. Yes, you get manipulated as a free action instead of a quick action. That opens up a world of pain for protective style teams in the first round, as they would no longer have a Warding Essence or Mystic Shroud as a free action, allowing you to do such combos as manipulated into a quick action into a Blackest Void as the final thing. However, you are giving up the opportunistic debuffs and you are giving up staggered, which one of the biggest complaints about the psychic meta is that the Staff of Agony misses like Mr. Magoo. Oh, Mr. Magoo, you've missed them again. Yeah, apparently Cloak and Dagger's been running through it from a lot of people, and we're seeing agents dodge it. I've seen it get dodged while doing the Spec Ops mission, and in all honesty, a psychic attack shouldn't be able to be dodged unless, of course, the person has a psychic immunity. Like Kurth. However, it would be really nice if the game just said immune when it actually meant immune instead of saying dodged, which in reality it's not. We have the rifle, which counters people and follows up people who have weak mind. So this could be used along with other things. I mean, the exploit delirium, there's all kinds of other setup you could do for that. And then last but not least, we have the MODOK little thing over here. There you are. Or no, it's meta. That's how I find it. The metaphysical amplifier. Everybody gets a psychic shield, and of course we get potential least. So now that's pretty much what we're dealing with in terms of agent gear over there. There's not a whole lot we're leaving out that really affects it. The traumatic post and the flaming post are somewhat similar. A flaming post was a gold sale item. It is melee psychic fire. It has a chance to counter single target attacks. When it does, it applies pyrophoric and flanked, but it doesn't do flanked if you manually attack with it, and it's a psychic attack. Flanked is really solid. I love flanked. So, what about psychic related meta and anti-psychic related meta? Well, first, of course, there's Emma. Emma definitely could have a chance to be part of any psychic meta. She has Psychic Tap, which is her own ISO that adds mind control. However, you can buy in the store a ISO that adds mind control to any psychic attack. So if you don't want to farm for this one, you can essentially buy it and equip it right then and there. We have mental trauma, which is migraine on everybody. And I have dark secrets over here. Equipped psychic attack applies weak mind, increasing... Oh, is that why? I think it already does migraine anyway. I wonder. Yeah. So, moving on from there, of course, we have Moonstone and Mantis, who are big and as part of the psychic meta. We have Dr. Voodoo, who has 2 psychic attacks in his Voodoo incantation. One of them is Daniel Drum, which all enemies get impaired, all enemies have their stamina drain, all allies get energized. And then he has, of course, the Possession, which has a 70% chance to work. Honestly, you could probably split the difference and make a fairly even stamina drain team with a psychic team, and probably get a lot of mileage out of doing both, but in lesser degrees than if you went full hog stamina or full hog psychic. Now, taking a look at those who run counter to it, actually, before we get on to that, right here on this page, Cable. Cable's got psionic spikes. He's got force of will. Now, interesting thing about Cable, he has a quick action mind control, and at the same time, his level 1 can be equipped with a mind control ISO. So, there's enticing. You could actually mind control 2 people in the same round with Cable if you play your cards right with it. That is a hidden little nugget that I don't know if a lot of people realize, that wow, he could essentially mind control 2 people in the same round. Angrier, of course, has a possession. Nico has a psychic attack. There's definitely some heroes that will work. Now, for anti-psychic items, of course, we know the techno-organic endoskeleton, and we know the experiment. Destroyer is not to be overlooked when it comes to anti-psychic meta, as he walks through everything. He is immune to bleeding, immobilized, poison, can't be stunned, immune to delirium and fear and morale and psychic effects. So, Black is voiding him will never do anything other than remove any buffs he may have. But Destroyer walks through psychic items like you don't believe. Kurth, of course, is psychic immune, but she's also part of a psychic meta if you have the ISO that allows her to exploit delirium. Colossus is not immune, but he is resistant to psychic attacks. Here's the big surprise, guys. I'm about ready to reveal to you somebody that you may not know actually works very well against a psychic meta. And I had forgotten about this until I double-checked something. Bishop. Bishop gains potential energy when he is attacked by psychic attacks. And he is a double slot bruiser. He has 2 personal EISOs, however, gains potential energy when allies use energy attacks, and all normal actions generate 1 additional potential energy. Obviously, this one can be dropped, and if you ran an agent that sat there and helped against psychic attacks and everything, Bishop would be extremely good, because you could dump Scoot him over here. And if he got attacked, and it's the new psychic meta, Bishop just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Not to be overlooked when it comes to that. Of course, we have Juggernaut, whose helmet allows him to basically get out of my head, Charles, his way through all psychic stuff. But if I remember correctly, in one of the cartoons, I think it was a Spider-Man cartoon, or one of the X-Men episodes, I do remember a lot of teamwork being able to take off his helmet, and then Charles got in there and mind controlled him. Magneto. He is part of the anti-psychic meta. The reason being is, again, like a helmet, he's just immune to psychic attacks. So they're just not going to affect him. And honestly, with Magneto's ISOs of Great Leader and Superconductor, he could return to being a powerhouse, especially with the polarized and everything. Because heavy metaling somebody who has been affected by magnetized used to deal tons of damage. Believe it or not, Phantom X is in a way part of the psychic meta. Oddly enough, the dodging chance seems to work consistently across the board in the fact that I feel like it's always on. So he has this thing that you gain an increased chance of dodging every time you get hit, until finally you do dodge an attack and then it resets. He does like to join in on people who attack each other. So disoriented and deep disoriented could involve Phantom X doing a lot of extra work. Cable, as I said, Cable has the ability to double mind control in a round, which is really, really strong. One last item that needs to be talked about, you may want to look around in your inventory for this, is the Advanced Idea. The Advanced Idea is a Spec Ops item from a long time ago that hits everybody on the enemy team with what's considered a massive psychic attack after 3 rounds. If weak mind was up before that hit, it would probably do a lot of damage. But you don't want to bank on 3 rail fights in PvP. It'd be long, it'd be boring. Too much chance to go wrong. Ghost Rider has a psychic attack. And Nico's is Fear Me. But that is pretty much it for what might be a psychic meta and what might be good anti-psychic. Honestly, I mean, Destroyer would be immune to absolutely everything. He certainly would be good. Emma, don't forget, the covert ISO means less to her than it did, because anytime mental anguish is applied as a pre-counter, it doesn't expire that round. It expires the next round, giving people a chance to clean it off or rest it off. So that is pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys like it. So basically we touched upon what things and heroes have psychic attacks and might be good as part of a psychic meta. And we also talked about things that can counter it, like Destroyer, like Bishop, like Juggernaut, like Magneto, Moonstone. All those guys can do it. And of course the Agent, with just a simple equip of the TOE, can absolutely be set to not have to deal with any psychic attack whatsoever. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, go ahead and give a subscribe to the channel. And if you got some ideas or things that I missed, definitely type it out in the comments below. Thanks, everybody.